what I will do is I will start and then I'm sure we will all be ready. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the third session out of our four today for the Adult Publisher Roadshow. If this is your first time joining, my name is Kimberly Sheehan and I'm a campaign manager here at the Reading Agency, and I have the pleasure of organising this roadshow every year. As I said, if this is your first session, we hope that you've received your delegate pack via email yesterday, but if you would like to receive it, if you email info@readingagency.org.uk, they can always send it on to you so you can start to do it. We hope that our roadshow today will help you to build ongoing conversations between yourselves and the publishers. And if you've not already received your delegate pack, as I said, you will be receiving it either directly from the email or when we send across the recordings, which will be next week. In the delegate pack, on the first page, there is a link to the publisher folders where you can find their individual slides and any catalogues that they may have sent across. But there is also a link to your request form, which is really important for you to use once you've watched all of the publisher presentations so that you can get in touch with them about any specific requests that you have. Our publishers will be delighted to answer any questions you may have at the end of the session in the Q&A. So please do use this box to put your questions in when we finish for that. And we will try and answer as many of them as we can. But please also use the chat box on the right-hand side of your screen and click to share with everyone so that you can talk to each other. We've had some really lovely comments in the first one of telling us where you're joining from, what books you are enjoying reading at the moment. Maybe for this one, it can be what genre of book is really popular in your library. That would be great conversation stuff, and you can talk to each other throughout the whole of this session. We'd love to hear from you in the chat box, and then, as I said, please use that Q&A at the end. But you've heard enough from me at the moment, so let me get my slide up for you, because I am now going to hand over to our first publisher of the session. Here we go, who is Phoebe from Faber. So over to you, Phoebe.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Phoebe. I'm one of the marketing managers at Faber. I primarily work across our fiction and crime fiction lists, and I'm here today to highlight 5 authors with novels coming out in the first half of 2026, from rising stars to some well-established names that you might recognise. So next slide, please. So first up, we have Belgrave Road by Manish Chauhan, which we're publishing in hardback at the end of January. This has been described by Rachel Joyce as exquisite. It's a debut novel. It's a modern love story of 2 people working side by side but living worlds apart. It's set in Leicester, and it's a celebration of community and connection and a tender portrait of contemporary Britain. So there's some great key themes in this book that include identity, loss and connection, as well as community and love against the odds. And the book's currently available to request on NetGalley, and the team here would love to support any libraries that would be interested in display materials, especially those who are local to the book's setting, which is Leicester and East Midlands, but also the Midlands more widely, if there's any interest. So please let us know. It's a brilliant book club novel with lots of really interesting discussion points about contemporary Britain, as well as Mira and Taliel's love story. So if any library is interested in hosting a book club, please get in touch and we can send materials to host this. And Manish is also available for library events depending on his schedule. Next slide, please. Another book that we wanted to get on your radar is Nonsuch by Frances Spufford. This is the new novel from the author of Golden Hill, coming in February. It's London, 1939. This is the Blitz, but not as you know it. Time bends, spirits can be summoned, and history hangs by a thread. And so, as heavily suggested by my pitch, it's a historical fantasy with themes of magical power and time travel. Again, the text is available to request on NetGalley, and we'll be offering out some reading copies via the Reading Agency's notice board, and then building towards a bigger library campaign for the paperback, which is coming out in 2027, when we'll have book club questions available too. And Francis is based in Chelmsford and is available for library events depending on his schedule. Next slide, please. Next up, we have a new crime series from Jess Kidd, which is Nora Breen Investigates. According to one of our other crime authors, Richard Armitage, Nora Breen is Maria von Trapp on steroids. She's a sharp-eyed former nun who finds herself a detective when she arrives in Gore-on-Sea on the hunt for her lost friend. Her new boarding house has a host of eccentric guests, haunted plumbing, and a formidable landlady, and that's all before a legendary psychic enters the scene in book 2, where seance goes terribly wrong. So, key elements of this series are the female sleuth, a curious seaside town, eccentric characters, brilliant plotting, and of course, murder. Murder at the Spirit Lounge, which is book 2, will be available on NetGalley in the new year, and we're giving away 15 copies of Murder at Gull's Nest in hardback. My colleague Sophie's working on this. We're doing POS packs available for both books. She did gull-shaped bookmarks for the first book, which went down really well. We'll have cat-shaped bookmarks for the second book, plus reading group questions. Jess is based in Yorkshire and is available for library events depending on her schedule. She's a brilliant advocate for her books, and I know she did a lot of fun bookshop events to support the first book in this series. So she's a really great draw for this series as well as the character. Next slide, please. And then next we have John Lanchester. He's back in March with Look What You Made Me Do. So what if the year's most talked about TV show was all about your marriage? Look What You Made Me Do is the new novel. So from John, he's the best-selling author of Capital and The Wall. It's an unforgettable black comedy of resentment and entitlement. It follows the story of two very different women from two very different generations heading towards a battle that only one of them can win. This book is all about millennials versus boomers and morality, all set against the backdrop of the dinner party circuit in North London. If you're interested in reading, again, we've got the text available on NetGalley now, and we'll have posters, bookmarks, and reading group questions for publication. John is based in London and is available for library events, depending on his schedule as well. And next slide, please. So I've raced through these. And finally, I just wanted to mention The Cut by Richard Armitage. This is a chilling standalone psychological thriller. It's perfect for fans of None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell and The Girls Who Disappeared by Claire Douglas. The Cut is about a man whose seemingly perfect life is about to be shattered by the unearthing of long buried secrets about a local tragedy that happened 30 years ago. It's set along a dual timeline with flashbacks to the 90s, and the key themes include obsession, guilt, bullying, memory, trauma, revenge, and remorse. So it's got some quite dark themes running through it. We published the hardback at the end of August this year, with the paperback coming in June. We're planning a big summer reading campaign for this book that focuses on the responses to the reader responses to the book, and we'll be doing a finished copy giveaway via the reading agency's notice board, so do look out for that. We'll also be putting together printed library display materials and a downloadable book club reading guide, which will be available on the reading agency resources page close to publication. His previous book, Geneva, we did display packs for that, and they went down well, so we'll be doing the same again for this paperback. And that's everything from me. So I've gone through that very quickly, but those are some highlights I wanted to share with you. Thank
That's
you.
fantastic. Thank you. And I think Maria von Trapp on steroids sounds amazing. Thank you, Phoebe. And now I'm going to hand over to Jamie at Canongate.
Hi everyone. So I'm Jamie. I'm marketing manager at Canongate. I work across our fiction and non-fiction across the whole list. If I could get the next slide. Just to remind you of some of the recent books that you've hopefully seen from us. These have been real favourites of ours. Kevin Barry's the Booker Longlisted Authors Historical Western, The Heart in Winter. Chloe Dalton's award-winning true story about a life-changing encounter with baby hare, raising hare. And Matt Haig's absolutely magical best-selling novel, The Life Impossible. And speaking of Matt Haig, could I get the next slide? Next year, we will have a brand new novel from Matt. It is called The Midnight Train. We just revealed the cover this week, and it promises to be a magical time-traveling love story set in the same world as The Midnight Library. So not a sequel, but within the same universe. It is going to be perfect for fans of books like The Coffee Gets Cold, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, David Nichols' You Are Here. And we will have POS available for this one. We'll have train-themed standees, bookmarks, posters, window clings, and lots of other good stuff. But we're delighted to be bringing Matt Haggett back to readers everywhere with a new fiction novel. Next slide, please. In February, we're publishing Katja Balin. Hopefully some of you know her as the Carnegie Award-winning children's author. This is going to be her adult debut novel. It's a novel about buried loss. It is set around an excavation, I'll say, in the wetlands of rural England. And something is pulled up from the marshes that sends aftershocks throughout the community. This is the kind of book that will really resonate with people who love the writing of authors like Sarah Moss and Max Porter. And we will have some POS available, including bookmarks. Sadly, no events from Katja. Next slide, please. Alex Preston's Winchelsea was an absolute favourite among readers when we published it a couple of years ago, particularly in the south of England. And we're really excited to have his new book. A Stranger in Corfu is a tense, shadowy thriller. It is set on an island full of retired spies, remnants of the old British regime who have been forgotten and exiled to live out their retirement, up until one of them washes up dead on the shores. Alex is such an enthralling writer, and we're really delighted to see people reading this one. He is available for events, and he's particularly based around the Kent area. So if you are in the area, we would love to hear from you. Next slide, please. Hopefully all of you know of Life of Pi, Jan Martel's Booker Prize winning novel. This is his first novel in 8 years, Son of Nobody, which will be delving into the Trojan War. It is written as a dual narrative, which connects the lives of a foot soldier during the war with a contemporary scholar who is struggling to try and make sense of his life, deciphering a hidden discovered manuscript in modern day Oxford. I think this will connect with people who love books like Piranesi, Stephen Fry's Mythos, Madeline Miller fans, Pat Barker fans, anyone who loves their mythology. Apologies to Olivia Edmonds, this is Greek mythology, but hopefully all of your libraries will enjoy this. We will have both POS, 2 kinds of POS available, standees and bookmarks for this one, and Jan may be over for a tour later in the year around publication. Next slide, please. So At Sea is a tense and complex thriller set aboard an oil rig that is listing on the brink of disaster. It follows an expert driller, Zainab, who is the only woman on board. She is leading the crew of engineers, drillers, maintenance workers trying to stop this rig collapsing into the sea. It's a novel about impossible choices, about gender and power politics, and about the machoism and boys' club within big oil. And we're really excited to be publishing this one in May. Next one. So Tamima Anam is an author we absolutely love at Canongate. She has written Uprising, a novel about rebellion inspired by a true story. This tells the tale of a community of sex workers living on an isolated island in Bangladesh under the iron grip of a fearsome madam. They eventually are sparked to take collective action and rebel, upending their world with a mix of ferocity and defiance. It's a provocative and rage-inducing feminist literary fiction book. I think readers of books like I Who Have Never Known Men, The Handmaid's Tale, The Power, Circe, Silence of the Girls will absolutely love this. Tamima is based out of London and is available for select events. And next slide. So hopefully many of you remember Ruth Ezeki, who won the Women's Prize for Fiction with the Book of Form and Emptiness a couple of years ago. Here she's returning with her first collection of short stories. These chronicle lives that we almost lived, people that we can't quite forget, and the stories that shape us long after the last page is turned. It is classic, captivating Ruth Ezeki magical realism. A disquieted husband watches the ghost of his wife's ambitions roam the woods outside their home. A long deceased beat poet hijacks the mind of a young publishing assistant and starts railing against modern literature. A grandmother creates a fake online dating profile to spy on her granddaughter's Tinder life and sets in motion a trail of lies and deception that she can no longer control. It is brilliant, magical stuff. Ruth probably will not be over for this, but we will have POS, including bookmarks and postcards. Next slide. Little bit of non-fiction for you. If This Be Magic is a book by seasoned translator Daniel Hahn. He is a lover of language, and particularly a lover of Shakespeare, and found himself asking for plays, for works that are so involved with our language, what does it mean to translate Shakespeare? When we change all of the poetry, all of the wordplay, all of the syntax, all of the words, is it still Shakespeare? Is it still any good? It's a really fascinating study of language, translation, and our ability to connect with each other. Daniel's based out of London and is available for events. And then final slide. I just wanted to flag a few of the paperbacks that were either have just put out or are putting out next year that I think are particularly worth paying attention to. Wild Dark Shore is a spellbinding eco-thriller. Personally, it's my favorite book that we've published this year. It ties in beautiful observations of nature with riveting characters and an absolutely relentless plot. Charlotte is going to be over for a research trip for her next book in spring, some point next year, and we'd love to hear pitches for events with her. And then This Bright Life is a story about messy lives, second chances, and the many hands it takes to build a boy. It follows a tearaway young boy living in poverty in the outskirts of Glasgow. Karen is an absolute wonder with events. She's based in Galloway and is very happy to come and put on a great show. So do be in touch if you're interested. The Death of Shame is Christopher Brookmeyer and Mercer Hatesman, writing under the pseudonym Ambrose Parry's fifth Raven and Fisher mystery. This one delving into exploitation of women in the Victorian era with the series' typical medical bent. It's set in a really richly Gothic, beautifully imagined world of Victorian Edinburgh, and the authors are very up for doing events across Scotland and the north of England. We will have posters and bookmarks available for this one as well. And lastly, Heart the Lover, which we've just published in hardback. We'll have the paperback next year. It's an achingly beautiful and intimate novel about desire, friendship, loss, and the lasting impact on our lives of our first loves. Lily is such an incredible author and writes really beautifully. So I hope you have a chance to dip into that one too. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. It's great to see authors like Matt Haig as well, who we've done, as you say, campaigns with before. So it's exciting to know we'll be doing that again next year. And now I'm going to hand over to Quercus and John Murray Press, where we have Ellie and Laura.
Hi everyone, it's great to be here. So contrary to what it says on screen, my name is Ellie, not Laura, and I'm a marketing manager with the John Murray Group, which consists of Quercus and John Murray Press. I also have actual Laura here with me today, and together we'll be introducing you to some of our biggest upcoming titles that we think are absolutely perfect for libraries and reading groups in the first half of 2026. So, Ellie Griffith needs no introduction, but I'm going to give her one anyway. Ellie is the multi-million best-selling author of the Ruth Galloway series and the Ali Dawson mysteries, and The Killing Time is the brand new installment for Ali. We'll have merchandise available to order, including standees, posters, and bookmarks, and we hope you'll join us in celebrating this gripping new mystery for Ali and her cold case team. While Ellie's tour is locked in for this particular publication, she does do library events as part of her calendar generally in the year. So if you're interested for future book opportunities, just get in touch with her publicists. I'll add their emails to the chat for any requests. Next slide, please. So next we have the brand new release from the best-selling author of The Bookseller of Inverness, which I'm sure many of you have read and loved. The Cromarty Library Circle is the unforgettable story of a Scottish town on the cusp of change and the group of townspeople whose lives will be irrevocably changed over the course of one tumultuous year. We'll have display materials and book club questions available for request, and no surprises that will particularly welcome those from you based in Scotland. And Shona will also be available for events depending on her schedule. Next slide, please. Broken Country is another book I hope many of you have read and loved as I have. It's the million-copy bestseller, which was a Reese Witherspoon book club pick for hardback publication earlier this year. It's a sweeping love story with the pulse of a thriller, and we'll have book club questions and display materials up for grabs to celebrate the paperback edition coming out in March next year. Next slide, please. From J.P. Delaney, the best-selling author of The Girl Before, this is The Move, a gripping new psychological thriller that will have you on the edge of your seat. We'll be offering opportunities to run J.P. Delaney watch parties in line with this brand new book and his incredible backlist. Next slide, please. Beth O'Leary is back in April, very excitingly, with The Name Game, following her previous best-selling books, including The Flat Share and Swept Away. This is an unforgettable love story of second chances and new beginnings, and we think you're going to absolutely love it. We can offer postcards, book club kits, and potential event opportunities, so please do get in touch if you're interested. And now for something a bit different, dare I say, a little steamy. I am thrilled to welcome you all across the threshold of the Hotel Orient, Vienna's most infamous love hotel and the setting for Murder at the Hotel Orient, a thrilling mystery with golden age style. An early reader pitched it as a whip-smart, winkingly sexy twist on classic noir, sleek, modern, and somehow timeless all at once, and I'm inclined to agree. Join the hotel's charming concierge, Sterling Lockwood, as a double murder sees her turn detective as she attempts to uncover the killer hiding amongst the sinners. We'll have a host of incredibly fun Hotel Orient-themed display materials for this unforgettable debut, so please get in touch if you're interested. Don't be shy, darling, ring the bell. And now I'll hand over to Laura for the rest of our titles.
Hi everyone. So the next title is The Artist by Lucy Steeds, which won the 2025 Waterstones Debut Fiction Prize. The Artist is an intoxicating tale of art, love, and secrets set across a sun-drenched summer in 1920s France. Steed's masterly debut revolves around a fabled reclusive painter, an aspiring British journalist set on penning a piece on him, and the artist's seemingly unworldly niece, Etty, who harbours an explosive secret. We can offer posters, bookmarks, and reading guides for this one. Next slide, please. Up next, we have Fellow Creatures by Emma Lothar, and I hope you love the cover as much as I do. We follow the protagonist, Shanna Bell, as she leaves her drab hometown in pursuit of something greater. Along the way, she meets Victoria, dazzling, wealthy, beautiful Victoria. The two become inseparable, Victoria the shining centre of Shannon's new world. It has been described as the talented Mr. Ripley meets Saltburn, and it is a dark academia exploration of friendship and jealousy set within the hallowed walls of a prestigious drama school. Next slide, please. Following on from this, we have Death by Noir. This is the first of the Bottlebank Mysteries, a series of charming and warm-hearted crime novels by beloved UK wine expert and presenter on Saturday Kitchen, Ollie Smith. The delicious cozy crime debut finds Barclay Flint, the idiosyncratic owner of a wine shop in an idyllic Sussex town, forced to use his detection skills as the local vineyard owner goes missing. We can offer library display packs, bookmarks, posters, book club, and reading question packs. And next slide, please. Finally, we have Bookish by Matthew Sweet. Set in London in 1946, Gabriel Book is an unconventional London bookseller married to Trotty, the owner of the wallpaper shop next door. He is also a sleuth who uses the chaotic riches of his stock to crack the puzzling cases that come his way. Bookshop is a magnet for waifs and strays, some of whom bring mysteries of their own to his door. There's Nora, sometimes bookseller and true crime enthusiast, Dog, connoisseur of ginger biscuits, and then Jack, whose arrival at the shop forces Book to confront a loose end from his own past. Clever, endearing, and entertaining, Bookish is a warm-hearted and unexpected mystery about books, murder, and the secrets we all keep. There is a potential for TV tie-in opportunities for libraries around the paperback with watch parties. So a selection of these titles are available to request on NetGalley. Thank you so much for your time, and please don't hesitate to get in contact with us if you'd like to hear more about our titles.
Fantastic, thank you. And I think Bookish is perfectly fitting for this afternoon as well. So thank you for that. And now I'm going to hand over to Penguin Press. We have Nariksha and Liz. Just will slide up for you.
Hi everyone. Right, so for a change, I'm going to be first talking to you about some narrative non-fiction, sort of the 3 books we're really excited about for the start of the year. And then I'm going to hand over to Nariksha, who's going to talk about classics. So to begin with, on the first slide, we've got Hotel Exile. This is one that everyone in our office just fell in love with as soon as we read the proposal. The book is about the Hotel Lutetia, which is a Paris institution, the only grand hotel on the city's Bohemian left bank. And during the 30s and 40s, it became in turn a great centre for exiled and wandering writers and artists, from André Gide and James Joyce to Picasso and Matisse, and then to a Nazi headquarters during the occupation of World War II, and finally a recuperation hostel for survivors of the concentration camps. Hotel Exile then is about what happens on the edges of a war. And Jane Rogoyska has a screenwriter background, and she tells the story in this incredibly cinematic way, but it's also all rooted in really rigorous historic research that offers a unique lens into a very key moment in history. I found reading it's sort of a similar reading experience to Patrick Radden Keefe or David Gran, writers like that. So truly gripping storytelling, but also highly informative. And we're very happy to offer out reading copies to libraries. They've also got loads of great POS for this book, sort of playing with the sort of 1930s, 40s style. And Jane is also based in London, and I'm sure would be happy to do events for libraries. And then the next book I've got, I'm so sad I can't show you the cover for this because it's amazing, but we don't have it to show you yet, but I promise you it's a banger. So The Butterfly Season. In the darkness of winter, on the first day of the year, a woman in Copenhagen is making a list. She plans to set out and see all of Denmark's butterfly species in a single year. She knows nothing about butterflies. She doesn't even know why she wants to see them. She just knows that something is calling her and the pull is irresistible. So begins the butterfly season, and we embark with Leia on a quest to learn all about these beautiful creatures and become re-enchanted with the natural world. And it has somewhat of the style of books like Raising Hare, which was mentioned earlier, and H is for Hawk. But butterflies specifically are symbols of metamorphosis and our hope for rebirth. And so the book becomes too a meditation on our existence and the big questions in life. Famous butterfly obsessives, which she talks about in the book, include Nabokov, Ovid, Emily Dickinson, and the book does have a lot of sort of philosophical, mythological, and poetic interludes. It was a huge #1 bestseller in Denmark, where Leia is from, and so we're feeling really ambitious about it here. Leia is the founder and editor of a major newspaper in Denmark, and she sort of comes to the book because she says that in her midlife, she has everything society says she should have. She's successful, she's got a great family, a loving partner, but she feels this really great need to start fresh with something, to be an amateur and to find meaning in something new. And I think the book will be incredibly relatable for anyone at a similar life stage or just anyone who's sort of thinking about their purpose, just as much as it will appeal to those keen on nature writing. So this is a great one, and we'll have proofs for everyone. She's not based here, but she will be coming over and doing a big tour, and I'm sure can do lots for libraries, lots of great POS as well. And then the next book I've got for you, staying in the natural world, we've got the world-renowned forest ecologist, Suzanne Simard. She's transformed our understanding of the profound intelligence and interconnectedness of trees. And she did that in the face of a lot of skepticism from scientists. She helped us to understand the importance of the wood wide web, as she termed it. And in When the Forest Breathes, she uncovers how the deep-rooted cycles of renewal that sustain the forest can also help us to protect our entire global ecosystem. So throughout the book, she works really closely with local Indigenous communities in Canada, whose sustainable practices have been largely ignored. Simard examines how holistic, regenerative forestry that preserves the cycle of the forest can help solve the global climate crisis. So it's a book that asks us to rediscover our kinship with the natural world and listen to the lessons that the forest has to teach us. And Simard has really, really high-profile fans. The first book and sort of her work basically inspired the film Avatar. So James Cameron is a huge fan of hers. And then there are other sort of literary fans like Michael Pollan, Isabella Tree, and Robin Wall Kimmerer. And it's coming out in March, and she'll be over for a visit and happy to do events. And that's that one.
Hi everyone. I hope you can hear me now. Sorry, we're slightly struggling with the tech as we're in a room together. But I am head of brand marketing at Penguin Classics, so I'd love to talk to you about some of our upcoming books that we're really excited about. So on the next slide, I think you'll see that Penguin Classics is celebrating its 80th anniversary next year. And as we've just published our big Penguin Archive series last year, we're publishing a few really nice things this year to help celebrate. One of them is The Odyssey, which was the first Penguin Classic title. So it's a very nice full circle moment for us. This one has been translated by Daniel Mendelsohn, very acclaimed classicist. I have a quote here about his book. This may well be the best translation of Homer's poem yet. Mendelssohn's rendering is highly readable. Monsters, thrashing swims, and wine-dark seas churn to life, and yet thrillingly it stays faithful to the original meter. Christopher Nolan's upcoming adaptation won't rival this. We're also publishing a catalogue which will list all of our publishing from Black Spine to PMC, and it will be used as a beautiful kind of reference guide and also a reader's journal for the avid penguin collector. And then last but not least, we're also coming out with a special zine around the world in 80 classics. 80 booksellers from all across the world have recommended their favourite Penguin classics, which will be available for free to libraries all across the UK. So please do let us know. We're planning quite a big campaign with the Reading Agency in the spring, which will include lots of POS, and we're really encouraging librarians to curate and display their favourite Penguin classics. So really excited to see how that all turns out. I'm sure we'll see some amazing displays. This is just some of the POS that we're planning to put out. Trees aren't just living things, but feeling beings like us. So says Ayakoda and Tree, a beautiful book about the wondrous trees of Japan. Written in the Juhitsu form, a genre of Japanese writing which is akin to the contemplative essay, it means follow the brush. And in this book, we follow Ayakoda as she journeys across Japan in search of its most majestic trees. We witness crimson maple leaves covered in ash standing under erupting volcanoes, cherry blossoms in full bloom in Tokyo, ancient gnarly cedars in the southern island of Yatsushima, over 7,000 years old. So Tree was published posthumously and to great acclaim in Japan. It's been a bestseller there for decades, and it's recently garnered a new interest because of Wim Wenders' film Perfect Days, and this book features very prominently in that film. So part nature writing, part travel journal, and it's perfect for your next trip to Japan. And we have copies on request for anyone who'd like to read. These are just some stills from the beautiful film. So Matsumoto is Japan's Agatha Christie. He's an extremely prolific author. He's published over 400 books in Japan, and here we're hand selecting some of the best. So readers have really loved Tokyo Express and Inspector Imanishi Investigates, but the next slide shows our newest offering, Twilight in Musashino. Again, it's detective crime fiction, but it's less of a whodunit and more of a chilling psychological thriller. It shows the dark side of Japan where Western crime and Japanese traditions collide, perfect for fans of John le Carré. It's 1959, and the body of a young Japanese flight attendant is found dead on the banks of the river. A series of clues lead two detectives to an international church headed by an Italian priest. The church is at the heart of the mystery, but also Matsumoto's critique of Japan's unease with foreign influence and Western institutions at the time. So we're planning a really big campaign in the spring. We'll have plenty of materials for reading group discussion questions and lots of POS as well. Again, this is available to request. And finally, I'd just like to point out some of our titles on our newest list, Penguin International Writers, which is our contemporary and translation fiction list. The first one is Backlight by Pirko Saiso, which is a riveting, funny, coming-of-age story, the second volume in her award-winning Helsinki trilogy. She's the most celebrated writer in Finland. They say she's Annie Ernaux but funny. And if you love Deborah Levy, you'll adore Pirko Saiso. So this is a funny, moving, coming-of-age auto-fictional novel that transports us to Finland in the 60s as Pirko navigates the growing pains and joys of being a teenager. Teenage Pirko can't decide which she hates most, God, her communist father, or her growing breasts. Again, available to request. Another book which I love to just pick out is You Are the Führer's Unrequited Love. Which is the most seductive, truth or fiction? This is the story of Albert Speer, the protege, the good Nazi. In 1969, Speer, Hitler's favourite architect, publishes his memoirs, rewriting his own past, claiming to have known nothing about the final solution. He declares himself collectively responsible, but not individually guilty. This is one of the greatest lies in history. Arengo's electrifying novel is the story of a man who saved his skin through the countless fictions he created about himself, a man with a talent for survival who dazzled those around him with his monuments to power, and then escaping death, reinvented himself as a best-selling author, a man once described as a Führer's unrequited love. So published to huge acclaim in France in 2024, shortlisted for the Goncourt, this is the first time Arengo's work has been translated into English. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you. Lots of great titles there as well. And we'll obviously be really happy to be supporting with the Penguin Classics campaign. So I'm going to invite all of the publishers to please put their cameras back on. Norwich Release, I don't know if you want to do it together, whatever's easier to do both. And then we are just going to go through some questions. So please put your questions in the Q&A. But before we do that, I have a couple that were sent in previously, so I'm just going to pick one of those. Okay. Let's do. Which of your books are you most excited to see how our readers in libraries engage with it? So I know it's very hard always to pick one particular book out of the ones, but which ones do you think are really going to connect well with librarians and you're really excited to hear the feedback from how they've used it in their libraries? So I'm going to start with you, Laura, and then I'll work our way round.
Is that me or
Yes.
actual Laura?
Laura, and then I'll come to you, Ellie. Thank you.
Yeah, I think Bookish is obviously an obvious one. I think that's going to be great. I think that's there's so much potential obviously around with the paperback, with watch parties and that kind of thing, and to tie in with the TV show. And I think obviously the subject matter, Bookish, book lovers, librarians, it's just match made in heaven, isn't it?
That's perfect. Thank you, Lauren. Yeah, I agree with you as well. Over to you, Ellie.
I'm gonna say Murder at the Hotel Orient. I just feel like it's such a riot of a book, and I think the setting lends itself so well to kind of displays, and you can do all sorts of like murder mystery nights. I feel like it's very kind of Cluedo-esque, so I just think libraries and book clubs are gonna have so much fun with it. So yeah, I'm gonna say that one.
Okay, thank you, Ellie. Phoebe.
I think I'm gonna pick the Just Kids series just because I think it's got so much going for it. The setting is amazing. We did Harrogate Festival this year. We did an ice cream van, and Jess Kidd just spent the entire time in the van just handing out ice cream. She didn't let the man do it at all. And just chatting to readers. So as both an event, someone for events, but also just the series potential, I think that is such a fun one to have on our list. So I'd pick that one.
Okay, thank you, Phoebe. Liz?
Did you say my name?
Yes.
Okay, I really to and fro because I love them all as we all do.
No,
But
it's hard
I'm
to choose.
gonna pick the butterfly season, because I think there's something really amazingly seasonal about that book because the butterfly season runs from about March to September. So it's amazing when you read it, you can literally go outside of your library and actually start seeing all the butterflies. And I think that there's something really fun and interactive that libraries could do about that people will engage with. Yes, I'd pick that one.
That's great. And it's nice to think again, seasons could be a longer campaign as well, which is great to hear. Jamie?
Uh, I think it's a was a dark horse in my mind, but I think Our Numbered Bones is going to really surprise us. It's seeing such great reactions from early readers. The bookseller picked it as one of their books of the month, and I know there's a big profile coming out with Katya as well later. Um, and I think these stories of loss and memory and of community are so important to us right now that I think a lot of readers are uh, seeking them out. And what better than a novel that is so touching and so masterfully written? So, yeah, I think that one's going to really connect with readers.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jamie. And Noricha.
I'm going to say Matsumoto's Twilight and Musashino. I noticed that lots of people in the chat were talking about crime fiction. I think this is very addictive psychological noir. Matsumoto writes so well about kind of traveling around Japan and really kind of sets the scene really well. And there's lots of like amazing cities that we see on the way. Lots of trains were involved. Readers, I think, are still loving lots of Japanese fiction. It's just a very good read.
Perfect. Thank you. That was a very good question to start with. Another question from the chat this time is, what is the key information you need from a library wanting to organise an author event with you? I suppose I'll open that up rather than going around to everyone individually. If there's anyone who can give some insight, please just unmute yourself. What is it really helpful for you to hear? Jamie?
I suppose at the outset, capacity and expected kind of attendance, as obviously those can differ quite a lot. PA systems, any kind of audio works, if it's going to be a larger event, details of what's available is really useful. A general overview of what the space is like. Is there availability to live stream it? Is it in person or online or both? All super helpful to know at the outset.
That's great. Thank you, Jamie. And just to say that we do have on the website an available authors event page where publishers can upload authors who are available for events. So please do check that out. I'm sure there'll be lots more going up now that the Roadshow has happened as well. Okay, and then the next question. Who is your debut author of this year or favourite upcoming for next year? Oh, it's nice to shine a spotlight on debuts. I would go the opposite way. So I'm going to start with you, Noriksha, this time, if that's okay.
Sure. I mean, working at Penguin Classics, I wouldn't say we have any debuts. But maybe someone who's been nearly translated, I can just mention is I really love Pirkko Saito's writing. She's like one of the most famous authors in Finland. And this is our first Finnish book at Classics. And she's got like a very particular voice. So again, if you like any kind of Tove Ditlevsen, Deborah Levy, Annie Ernaux, definitely sure to like her work.
And it's great to have translated fiction coming across to find a new audience here as well. Jamie?
Is this specifically Canongate books, or are we talking whole trade here?
We can do all trade.
Do whole trade.
Yeah.
I'll do one on one. I think this year the debut that isn't ours I've liked the most was When the Cranes Fly South, the Lisa Ridson novel. It felt, yeah, bittersweet, heartbreaking, beautiful. I liked the relationship between the man and his son and how they were kind of desperately trying to connect. His kind of Twilight, I thought it was a really moving book. From the Canongate sides, like I've said, Our Numbered Bones, I think, is our most buzzy debut for next year. I would also shout out Shorelines by Alicia Pri Mohammed. It's coming in the latter half of next year, non-fiction. She won the Nan Shepherd Prize, which is a prize we set up to find underrepresented voices in the nature writing field. It's a book about migration and finding home and the shores and bodies of water that have connected with her across her life. And I think it's beautifully written. So that'll be the next one for
And
next
I think there's something really lovely about the books that have been shared today. There's been a lot about climate and ecology. And that's definitely some of the requests that we always get from librarians as well. So it's great to have that. Liz, over to you.
Yeah, I've actually spoken about quite a lot of debuts today, but another one that I think is really fantastic. We have the memoir coming from Kimberly Crenshaw, who some of you might know, and if you don't know, she is an American lawyer who pioneered the terms intersectionality and critical race theory, which are terms that we all really know now, but we don't actually know where they come from, and they've become such weaponized words. And there's something really sort of moving, funny, and inspiring about reading about her life and how her life experiences actually shaped and created these terms, the sort of everyday injustices she faced as a Black girl growing up in a very small town in Ohio in America. And so that one's fantastic and will get sort of amazing endorsements. The Obamas love her, and lots of stuff like that. So I think that'll be a great one for people to read.
Thank you, Liz. Phoebe?
Sorry, it's not one I mentioned today, but I'm working on a debut thriller by a really exciting British Nigerian author called Yemi Dupalulu. She's based in Southeast London, and it's a marriage thriller about a love triangle, two women and the man between them. And the opening scene is this amazing wedding scene where the groom is arrested at his own wedding for the death of his ex, and it kind of then you discover all the kind of family dynamics. It's got some really relatable kind of mother-in-law dynamics with the family and a really great plot. And when it came in on submission, I read it super quickly. So that's a really fun one.
Great, thank you, Phoebe. And Ellie?
Hello. I think it's difficult. I feel like we've had loads of amazing debuts this year. I'd say probably my favorite was A Murder for Miss Hortense by Mel Pennant, which is this brilliant start to a new series. Miss Hortense is like utterly fearless. She takes on like local priests. She takes on anyone who's like causing any trouble in her neighborhood. It's set during the Windrush generation, and she's a cake maker. She's an ex-nurse. She's a gardener. And she's kind of relied upon in her local community to look into things if something's going has gone wrong. And there's a murder in her neighborhood, and she sort of looks into it, and it sort of unpicks lots of like unsettling things in the community. It's just like a brilliant book, and Mel's such an amazing writer. So I'd say probably that one. And then for next year, it's probably Death by Noir by Ollie Smith. It's an amazing start to again another new series. Ollie's an amazing writer. He does lots of screenwriting. My favorite fact about him is that he screenwrote for Pingu, and he also screenwrote for some Wallace and Gromit films. And I feel like a lot of the physical comedy comes across strangely in the book. It's like kind of amazing. But yeah, it's very fun. He's just Ollie's an incredible force. He's if you've seen him on TV, he's so cheerful. He's just like the most positive person in the whole wide world. So I think it's going to be an absolutely amazing series.
Great. And then Laura.
Yeah, I think mine is going to be a book which is out actually February next year, called Spies and Other Gods. And it's by the author's name isn't James Wolfe, because he's got a pseudonym because he's actually an ex-spy, so he can't use his real name. So it's really brilliant. So he's an ex-spy, and he's written this great book all about kind of like the mystery and paranoia and the ruthlessness of the secret world of British espionage. And yeah, he's just a really brilliant writer. I think it's great for people who like sort of, general spy thriller sort of novels like Mick Herron, Robert Harris, that kind of thing. So yeah, I would really recommend that.
Fantastic, thank you. I think we've got time for one more question. So do you have any new books, titles, or books from your list that contribute to diverse or underrepresented voices? So I know these questions are very hard to put you on the spot, publishers, to think of it off the top of your head. But I will start with you, Laura, if that's okay. So we'll go back the other way like I did last time.
I might have to pass this one on to Ellie if that's okay.
Absolutely fine.
Yeah. Sorry, Laura's been here for like a month, so she's still getting to grips with all the lists.
Thank you.
But I will say, yeah, A Murder for Miss Hortense again. We did loads of amazing work with Dark Matter, who I'm sure lots of people here have worked with and know. We did lots of really fun stuff in Brixton, but it's just an amazing book, and it's also to do with a partner network, which is a big part of the community that Miss Hortense has, and Mel's grandmother was actually a member of a partner network. So it was like an amazing personal thing for her to write about, but it was also really interesting to learn about because unfortunately it was something that I just wasn't aware of. But it's a really big part of Caribbean and Black communities in history, and it was just really interesting to learn about and to be able to kind of champion that. And as I say, it was really fun doing stuff with the Brixton community and see them sort of rallying around the book. It was just yeah, really fun and just I'd recommend everyone reads it.
Okay, thank you. Phoebe?
So there's Kiss, Marry, Kill, which I mentioned earlier, which is by Yemi, and Belgrave Road, which is one of the ones in the presentation. And they're two of our debuts this year, and they're both from diverse backgrounds. I'm working on the second thriller by a British Indian author called Nilesha Chauve, which is called The Good Patient, which is about a nurse who has to make a split-second choice between two patients and kind of what happens after that. And we're publishing the paperback of Universality by Natasha Brown, who's another brilliant author on our list. Those are the ones that come to mind.
Okay, thank you, Phoebe. Liz?
Sorry, I'm so slow. Yes, so Kimberly Crenshaw's memoir, Backtalker, that I just spoke about, would be great for this, but I would also say we publish a lot of really great queer writers and trans writers. So just as a brief little handful of those, last year we published Deep House, the gayest love story ever told, which is really fab. And then we also published Charlie Porter's first novel, and then another author we published who's fantastic is Sean Fay, which I think I spoke about at the last roadshow we did, who we published her book, which is her debut, The Transgender Issue, which was fantastic, and she's just done another book with us called Love and Exile. So I'd point you to both of those, and she's got more to come.
That's great, thank you, Liz. Jamie?
Oh God, so many.
I
I would love to shout out Derek Owusu's Borderline Fiction. This novel came out a couple of weeks ago. It is about the realities of growing up as a young Black man in Britain today. And Derek is such a wonderful literary writer. It is an absolute treat to check out. I would also Brian Chikwava's Shimiso, which is about a young person grappling with gender and identity in modern day. Again, absolutely captivating read. Omar El Akkad on our non-fiction side wrote a book called One Day Everyone Will Have Always Been Against This, which is a searing dismantling of the Western promise of Western society in the face of the genocide in Palestine, and in a world where there have been daily strikes by Israel since the ceasefire. I think that's a book that everyone should read. It is a difficult read, but I think one that we should all make time for. Next year, we're publishing the Turkish writer Ece Temel Okurin's Nation of Strangers, a book about what it is like to live in exile, to live as an unhomed person, and to grapple with the consciousness of being an unhomed person as that comes into more and more of our lives as we start to feel spiritually and politically nationless in reaction to the creeping rise of fascism across the West. Again, a brilliant work of non-fiction, and one we're really proud to publish. And I suppose slightly later in the year, we have a book in April called The Future's Peace, published by written jointly by a Palestinian and an Israeli who have each lost lives, lost family in the conflict. and they are pushing a collective message of peace and brotherhood on the world stage, which, yeah, I think is a really powerful message to send. So that one's coming out in April.
That's great. Thank you, Jamie. And Rachel.
So we're publishing so much into our Classics in Translation series, kind of bringing global voices to the UK. We're publishing a really fantastic Iranian writer, Shanush Parsapur, next year, which I'm really excited about. Generally on Classics, I just really probably recommend my favourite writers of all time, James Baldwin. Anything by him is amazing. We're publishing Audre Lorde as well, some more of her essays. So yeah.
Well, that was a fabulous question to end on. Thank you all so much. I'm going to let you publishers all go. Thank you so much for doing your presentations, but also for answering those questions, because I know it's quite hard to do on the spot, but it was all brilliant. So thank you, and please feel free to hop off and we'll send across the request to you soon. Thank you. Bye, everyone. And then I'm afraid we were meant to have someone to present about reading ahead and reading families, but she's poorly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to record her session and then add it to all of the recordings that we send across next week. So please do keep an eye out for that. When we send around the follow-up materials next week, that will all be included in there, as well as the feedback survey link and the request form in the Google Doc, so you can send all of your requests across. There was lots of great titles highlighted in there. I did see a question about what does POS mean. It means point of sale, so they're your display materials. And then our next session will be starting at 2:30 on the dot. It is the last one. If you have made all of the sessions today, well done. I hope you've really enjoyed it. So we will have Overscroft, Hodder and Stoughton, Vintage and Harper Fiction team at those ones. So please do stay around for that one, and have a nice little comfort break in between. Thank you, everyone.